And we're coming up to our first remnants of Fort Dearborn, the old battery seaman. Welcome back to another hiking adventure. Today we are going to explore all around Odiorne Point. Nice coastal walk. There is also the remains of Fort Dearborn, World War II fort. So we are going to check it out. And just like that, we have come up to the ocean. We are pretty close to high tide. It is low tide. It was low tide about an hour ago. And we're coming up to our first remnants of Fort Dearborn, the old battery seaman. So we will get up there. Alright, so as we begin looking around, I'll give you a brief history on Fort Dearborn. Odiorne Point was chosen by the federal government for a fort to help protect the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard due to its desirable vantage point. The government acquired the land in January 1942. 360 acres were sold to the United States government. On March 12, 1942, landowners received a formal notice to vacate and were given 30 days to retrieve belongings. The fort was deemed operational in May 1943 and received the name Fort Dearborn, named after General Henry Dearborn of nearby Northampton. Including repurposed homes, Fort Dearborn comprised of 20 buildings. The process of deactivating the Portsmouth Harbor defense began on February 22, 1944, after more troops were needed overseas rather than domestic defense. Shortly after the war's conclusion, Route 1A was reopened for travel, and Fort Dearborn was opened to the public to see firsthand what had been built. The fort was decommissioned in 1948. Odiorne Point officially became a state park in 1972. So there it is, Battery Seaman, 1942. So the state does do their best to keep the interior blocked off. There it is, that's about as much light as I can get in there. There we go. There's the inside of one of the rooms. And there's some more. Must be a gunman's post as we start coming up a hill. Pan back out, the ocean is back that way. And here is inside. A little echoey. I would assume a lot of these trees were not here when this was in operation. And here is the other entrance side to the Battery Seaman. This door has a pretty good break in there. If I was really mischievous, I could crawl through there, but I'm not going to do that. And here's looking down at the other side. And this is in the middle of the Battery Seaman. See a big hill built into it. The open ocean is on the other side of it. And I've come up to a junction, so I'm gonna head off this way first, head down to Frost Point, and we'll come back out and explore some more of the more inland areas and fort ruins. And we've made it out to Frost Point. There is the breakwater. You can see it doing its job there. And I'm not sure exactly what this building would have been used for. The battery seaman is back off that way. And a look inside. Not much to see in there. And as we continue through the woods here at Odiorne, very nice fall color right there in what has otherwise been a rather dull year for foliage. And we've come up to another remnant of Fort Dearborn. I believe that this was what was known as the plotting room here, built into this hill. And here is up to the entrance of it. That would be a cool, cool interior to explore, I'm sure. So you look up to the top there. And here is right up to the entrance. And we'll look in and see what we can see. People have gone in there. You can see, if you can't tell by the level of graffiti here, this is not exactly a hidden place here at Odiorne Point State Park. Alright, so I'm up onto the top side of the bunker, or the plotting room, I guess, as you would call it. Here's a pillar. And there's, I guess, what would be part of the ventilation system. There you go. See the boulders where the entrance is right there. Got these pillars here on the top. And your pipe. Again, I'm sure a lot of this for ventilation reasons here built into the hill. It looks like we have the remains of a chimney out here, right on the ocean. It's interesting. And I would be remiss not to show the site of the sunken forest. There are the remains of an old forest in this little cove area. The stumps can only be seen at very low tide. We're a couple hours past low tide, but that's where they are. They're all underwater now, but there was a forest in this area at one time. So that was Odiorne Point State Park and the Fort Dearborn ruins site. It's been on my list for, or it's been on my radar for really years, this place. So glad I finally was able to come out and walk the trails and check out the sites. So I hope that you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching. Welcome back to another hiking adventure. Today we are going to explore all around Odiorne Point. Nice coastal walk. There was also the site of the Dearborn Fort.